गुरुर्ब्रह्मा गुरुर्विष्णु गुरुर्देवो महेश्वरः गुरु साक्षात् परम ब्रह्म तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः। तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः। सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम्। In our last session, we completed the up to the 22nd verse. So today we'll begin the session from the 23rd verse. So 23rd verse, Upadesha Saara. सत्वभासिका चित वा इतरा सत्तया hi चित चित्तया hi aham. So based on this shloka, the first question, explain why there is no consciousness illuminating the self. Explain with an example. Pankaj bhai.
Yes, Swamiji.
Yes.
Uh, your question is, Swamiji, consciousness is not illuminating
No, explain why there is no consciousness illuminating the self with an example.
because the consciousness is a self-sufficient or say self-evident,
Hmm.
and there is no need because something which is self-effulgent does not require any other uh, illuminator to illuminate. For example,
Hmm.
the sun is a self-effulgent.
Hmm.
Uh, we do not require any torch or any light to to
To see the sun.
to see the sun,
Hmm.
and this is the reason, Swamiji.
Hmm. So this thought arises why there is no consciousness illuminating the self. This thought arises because of the ignorance of the self.
Hmm.
Ignorance of the self being self-illumined, that is why this thought arises, why there is no consciousness illuminating the self. Because we have the ignorance of self being self-illumined, the pure self or Atma being self-illumined. So it doesn't need anything else to illuminate, as the example that you gave. Sun doesn't need a torch to illuminate. It is self-illumined. It doesn't need any other light to see the sun. Then the next question on the same shloka is, explain Sat and Chit with example. Akshama Amma.
Sat, Sat and Chit cannot be separated because without Sat and Chit cannot be separated. And the example is fire. Fire. The characteristic of fire is heat and light. So
Before you give the example, why Sat and Chit are not different? Why it can't be separated? Why it can't be different?
because without Sat, Chit will be inert. Without Chit, Sat will be inert.
And without
And
Sat,
insentient.
and without Sat, what will happen to Chit then? So without Chit, Sat will be inert. But without Sat, what will happen to Chit?
Swamiji,
Yes,
can we take Chit as consciousness?
Chit as consciousness. Yes.
Okay. Can I explain now?
Yeah, go ahead.
Because if the consciousness or Chit illumines, it is the one and the same. Uh, if the existence is separate, then
Hmm.
it will become the inert.
Hmm.
But here it is one and the same. It's just as Shamama explained, the like fire,
Hmm.
the
Hmm.
light and the heat belongs to the fire itself.
Hmm.
So same thing, existence and chitta or consciousness is belongs to the same entity. It's the
Yeah.
property of the same entity.
Sat is existence, pure existence,
Hmm,
and Chit is pure consciousness.
hmm,
Sat is Chit, Chit is Sat. They are not separate.
hmm,
So without Sat, Chit will become non-existent, and without Chit, Sat will become inert, insentient.
hmm,
So they are not two separate entities, they are the same. Together, like the example is fire has got both light and heat. One can't imagine fire without light or fire without heat. That
hmm,
can't be imagined. So there has to be heat, there has to be light. So these two are the aspects of the same entity. So Sat and Chit is of the same entity, the pure self. So they are not two different entities as such. So this has to be understood very clearly. Then,
Can I give one more reason, Swamiji?
yeah, one more you can give.
uh, Consciousness illumines both ignorance as well as the knowledge.
Hmm.
I am, that is Sat,
Hmm.
and I know that I am. And also illumines what I do not know.
Hmm.
So it illumines the both knowledge as well as the ignorance.
Hmm. That will, of course, come in the further verses also.
Okay.
Similar question will arise in the further verses. Okay, so then we move on to the next shloka, shloka 24. Shlok 24 is Isha Jiva Yoho Veshadhi Bhida Sat Swabhavatah Vastu Kevalam. So based on this shloka, the first question is explain the difference between Jiva and Ishvara with examples. Pankaj Bhai.
Uh, Fundamentally, Jiva and Ishwar represent the same entity.
Hmm.
But because of the conditioning
Hmm.
and individual conditioning,
Hmm.
what we call normally avidya,
Hmm.
uh, it is known as Jiva.
Hmm.
When the pure consciousness identifies with the total conditioning,
Hmm.
it is known as Ishwar.
Hmm.
So this is a difference. But uh, the tattva is the same in both, whether it's a jiva or whether it is a Ishwar.
Can you elaborate this with an example?
Like the best illustration is always the
Hmm.
wave and the ocean.
Yes.
Jiva is wave is like an jiva. It
Wave is like a jiva. Hmm.
yeah, it identifies with the limited conditioning of one wave.
Hmm.
Similarly, the ocean represents the Ishwar.
Hmm.
But both has got the form. One has got a wave, one is known as wave, another is known as a ocean,
Hmm.
which includes the lakhs and lakhs of waves.
Hmm.
But Vastu, the Tattva, is the same as water.
Hmm.
If, if I remove the if we remove the water, then
Hmm.
Ishwar will also not be there, and the Jiva will, sorry, ocean will also not be there, and the wave will also not be there.
Hmm. And what is the difference then between the Jiva and Ishvara?
Only conditioning, Swamiji.
Conditioning.
Hmm.
And what are the conditionings?
The form, main thing is form, as gross body and subtle body, Swamiji.
So, individual conditioning is the individual body, mind, intellect equipment.
Equipment, yeah.
So, that is the individual conditioning.
Yes.
And what is the total conditioning? So, Vyashti and Samashti, the total conditioning.
Total conditioning is the sum total of the all the forms, all the living beings and non-living beings.
Hmm. So, because of this individual conditioning and the total conditioning, then what will happen? What is the difference now? The individual conditionings and the total conditioning. So, though inherently both are same, Jiva and Ishvara, the conditioning, what does the conditioning make then?
One Jiva is Alpagna, Alpa Shaktiman,
Hmm.
and Alpa the Alpa Shaktiman, Alpagna,
Hmm.
and limited to a space.
Hmm. So, Alpavyapi.
Alpavyapi.
Hmm.
Whereas Ishwar is Sarvavyapi,
Hmm.
Sarvashaktiman,
Hmm.
and Sarvagna.
Sarvajna. So that is the difference because of the
Hmm.
conditioning, the jiva, the individual self.
Hmm.
So the jiva is identified with one body, mind, intellect equipment,
Hmm.
and it has got limitations. It is limited by space, time, objects, and position. So therefore it is, and also it is alpadnya. Knowledge, its knowledge is limited, alpadnya. Alpashaktiman, its power is also limited. And alpavyapi, it is not all pervading. It is limited to its own body. Whereas Ishvara, being the totality, it is representing the totality, and therefore it is Sarvajna, all knowing, Sarvashaktiman, all powerful, and Sarvavyapi, all pervading. So these are the differences between the two. So, but the thing is, one is the same. Now, the next question is, explain Jiva and Ishvara from the absolute standpoint with example. Shamama.
Ishwari is not affected by Maya, but Jiva is affected by Maya.
No, now the explanation is from the absolute standpoint.
Absolutely.
Hmm.
Sorry.
Okay.
It is Mithya.
Pankaj bhai,
Amiji, can you please repeat the question?
the question is explain Jiva and Ishvara from the absolute standpoint with example.
Absolute standpoint point is Swamiji, both are same only. There is
Hmm.
no difference between Ishwar and Ishwar. Uh, the Lakshyartha of both Lakshat of the both is the
Hmm.
same, Swamiji.
Hmm.
Like, and if illustration has to be given, then again we can give the same wave and ocean, or gold and the ornaments, or the pot, clay and the pot.
Hmm. Anything else can be added?
The totality of the all the
Hmm.
jivas
Hmm.
is the Ishwar.
Hmm. Anything else?
The same, what I can say is the same entity has become the Ishvara, and the same entity has become on a micro level as Jiva, Swami.
Hmm. So, though Jiva and Ishvara are different on the basis of their conditionings or upadhi,
Mm,
they are the same. Devoid of conditioning, they are the same.
mm,
Because that which pervades through Ishvara and Jiva is the same. Because if there were two consciousness, then one consciousness
Ida.
will know the other consciousness, and that which is known.
Mm,
So that which is known will be Chit. So one consciousness will know the other consciousness, and that which is known can't be the Chit, isn't it?
yes, sir.
So whatever is known can't be consciousness. So there can't be two consciousness, two different consciousness, one illuminating, one pervading through the Jiva, the other pervading through the Ishvara. Because if one consciousness illumines the other consciousness, then the one which is illumined can't be consciousness then,
Mm,
isn't it?
yes, sir.
So that has to be understood very clearly. So Jiva can't be Ishvara, of course, on the basis of their conditionings. The conditionings are different. So on the basis of the conditioning, Jiva can't be Ishvara.
Mm,
But minus the conditionings, Jiva and Ishvara are the same, isn't it?
yes, sir.
So, so this Jiva cannot be Ishvara as regards the conditionings are concerned, but Jiva can realize the truth, the absolute self, the pure self, Brahman. The absolute truth can be realized. So that is Brahman, which always is. So the upadhis are the conditionings, are of course the product of ignorance, adnyanta. So without the conditionings, the jiva's conditioning of the individual body, mind, intellect, equipment, and the Ishwar's conditioning of the Maya Shakti. So if these two conditionings are removed from jiva and Ishwara, then they are one, isn't it? So both are one in Brahman. So Jiva Ishvara Bheda is only in the Vyavaharik Sat or relative reality, relative existence. It is not in the absolute, in the Paramarthik Satya. It is only in the Vyavaharik Satya, in the relative existence. And therefore it is Mithya. Mithya means unreal. But the difference, but the non-difference between the two, the Abheda, the non-difference between the two is the Paramarthik Satya, is the absolute truth. So, without their upadhis, both Jiva and Ishvara are one in Brahman. So, Jiva, Ishvara, Brahman, the difference is only of the conditioning. Brahman is, in Vedanta, it is called as the absolute truth, is named as Brahman, though the absolute truth cannot be named because that which is formless, attributeless, colorless, no guna, no rupa. So that can't even be named. So Brahman is a working name. as we have seen so many times, Brihati iti Brahma. So Brahman means Brihati iti Brahma, that which keeps expanding. So then the question arises, if Brahman is infinite, why is the question of it expanding? That means it is at a limited way and then it is still expanding, continues to expand. No. Brihati iti Brahma means what? Whatever we may think of that Brahman, it is beyond that thought. So today I thought, okay, it is beyond this. So it must be formless. So then it is beyond formless also. It is attributeless also. It is beyond attributeless. It is beyond that. Whatever I can think of that, it is beyond that. So that in that way, it is expanding, so to say. It is in comparison to what we think about it. Not in absolute. Absolute, of course, it is infinite. There is no question of any expansion there. It is infinite in itself. So there should be no confusion regarding that. Then the next question, the 25th verse, वेशहानित हानत स्वात्मदर्शनम ईश दर्शनम स्वात्म रूपतः. So वेशहानतः स्वात्मदर्शनम ईश दर्शनम स्वात्म रूपतः. So the question based on this 25th verse, first question, explain with example why Lord's vision in form is not his real darshan, it's not his real vision. Pankaj bhai.
Yeah, Swami. Before I explain, Swamiji,
Yes.
if we read the translation of this shloka,
Hmm.
it appears so simple,
Hmm.
but in practice, the अपना जन्म का जन्म पास पास पास
Spirituality is our own real self. It is
but
here
it's
and
really
now, but it takes lives together by the time we
right.
realize the truth because of our own ignorance, and we got too much mind into that which is not real.
Yeah.
The
Now,
projection of unreal by the Maya Shakti, we got too much involved into that. Now it is the time to withdraw from the external world within, turn within, and then the journey will be quicker.
now, Swamiji,
Hmm.
this is so simple.
Hmm.
If I'm wearing a dress and changing it, want to change the dress, I can do it very easily.
Hmm.
But I'm wearing this gross body, subtle body, and to transcend that,
Hmm.
the actually secret of self-realization is to transcend body, mind, and intellect and ego.
Hmm.
But it's so difficult, Swami.
Yes.
Even after getting the knowing the path,
Hmm.
it's difficult to walk on that. Always remain in that on that path, Swami.
It is
What is it?
difficult,
Hmm.
no doubt.
But
It is very
but
difficult. It
not
is very, very
impossible.
difficult, but not impossible.
Yes, because people, Mahatmas have realized themselves by transcending their
Yeah.
conditioning.
If there is one person on the planet Earth who has realized the self, then without question, without exception, each and every one of us can realize the self. So it is difficult, no doubt. Very difficult, very, very difficult, but it is not impossible.
Yeah. Now, Swamiji, coming to your question,
Yes.
thing
Why
is
this
that
Lord's vision is not the real vision, the real darshan?
because the scene we have to apply the two principles
Hmm.
like knower and known and seer and the seen.
Hmm.
If I realize
Hmm.
that, let us take the example of Satya Sai Baba. Right now, centenary celebrations are going on.
Hmm.
If I take his form as God,
Hmm.
and try to realize it is impossible.
Hmm.
Because Baba has himself said
Hmm.
that you are God, I am God.
Hmm.
Difference is that I know that I am God, you do not know that. And
Hmm.
after that, what he said is very important, Swamiji.
Hmm.
Don't make any attempt to know me.
Hmm.
You will never know me. You will never be able to know me.
Hmm.
But that moment you know yourself, you know who I
Hmm.
am.
Hmm.
This is what he said numerous times, Swamiji.
Hmm.
So, because of the knower and seer and seen, we
Hmm.
have studied
Hmm.
and you explained in great detail in the last session
Hmm.
that seen is always inert,
Hmm.
known is always inert.
Hmm.
And if I know or see
Hmm.
a form, I
Hmm.
can worship that form.
Hmm.
But that will be, I won't say inferior, but
Hmm.
but we have to travel one step more
Hmm.
and see the tattva of the form, like Krishna, Rama,
Hmm.
or Satya Sai Baba, or like that, Ramana Maharshi.
Hmm.
So their truth, their uh, tattva
Hmm.
and my tattva is
Hmm.
the same. No difference between iota of 1.0001 difference as
Hmm.
far as the substratum of the worshipper and the worship is
Hmm.
different from each other.
Hmm.
So therefore, we have to realize first ourselves.
Hmm.
Who am I? Who am I?
Hmm.
And that is the surest way of knowing the God with the form.
Hmm.
If you ask me to give the illustration, a
Hmm.
small wave has to realize its real tattva, that is
Hmm.
base or substratum, that is
Hmm.
water.
Hmm.
And the moment she knows her substratum or is
Hmm.
tattva,
Hmm.
immediately she will identify with the even ocean also.
Hmm.
That the ocean is not different than me or I am not different than the ocean.
Hmm.
Form is immaterial.
Hmm.
This is what I understand from it.
Yes. The vision of God in form is not the real vision because we have seen yadrishyam tajjadam. Whatever is seen is inert, insentient, and non-living. And whatever is seen further, hmm, it is finite also and it is perishable. Yadrishyam tajjadam, yadjadam tadalpam, yadalpam tad nashtyam. So that which is seen is inert, insentient, and because it is seen, it is finite also and is subject to destruction also, perishable. So, moreover, by mere darshana or vision of the Lord, the ignorance of the self doesn't disappear. And there are so many examples. When millions of people saw Lord Rama, did the ignorance disappear? No. Millions of people saw Lord Krishna also. Did their ignorance disappear? No. Arjun played with Lord Krishna, but did his ignorance disappear after the Mahabharata war? And he ended up in Narka only. His ignorance didn't, after listening to the full Bhagavad Gita also, his ignorance didn't disappear. Forget about having Darshan playing with him, he was a Sakha also, and yet his ignorance didn't go. And the same in the modern times, you have examples of Ramakrishna Paramahams who had the darshan of the goddess, Mother Goddess, and he used to have direct conversation with Mother Goddess. But did his ignorance go? No. Totapuri Maharaj had to come to impart him the knowledge of the pure self, the supreme reality, the absolute truth. Then only his ignorance disappeared. And then he realized the truth. Same thing happened. And there are so many examples. Same thing happened with Namdev Maharaj. Namdev Maharaj had the darshan of Vithala. Did his ignorance disappear? No. Though he had the darshan of Lord Vithala at the age, a very young age of 8 or 9 year old when he was. So he had some kind of an ego or an arrogance also that Lord himself has given me darshan and all that thing. But then when it came to realization of the self, because Jnaneshwar and his siblings, they were of the same time and they were all realized selves. Nivruttinath, Jnaneshwar, Sopan, and Muktabai, all four of them were realized masters. So then, when he was tested, he was found wanting. And then he went to the Lord and said that they are telling that there is something wrong. I have not realized the self. Something is lacking. Then the Lord Vithala, he was the devotee of Lord Vithala. So Lord Vithala told him that you have to go and take the knowledge from your guru, from your teacher who is waiting for you. So he was sent to his guru Visoba Khechar. And when he imparted him the knowledge, and then when he realized the self, then he saw beyond the form. Because Rupa is the form, Swarupa is the essence behind the form. So that essence can't be seen by Charma Chakshu, by these eyes. Rupa can be seen by the eyes, but not the essence, because essence is not different between ours and everything else. But the essence is the same. So until then, therefore, Mother Goddess knew very well that Ramakrishna is caught up in her form. And as long as he is caught up in the Rupa, he'll never realize the Swarupa. Similarly, Namdev was caught up in the form of Lord Vithala. As long as he was focused on the form of Lord Vithala, Rupa, he will never know the Swarupa. And Swarupa, knowing Swarupa is knowing our own real self. Not what we think we are, but what we are, who we are in reality. So, this is the thing, this is the important thing. So people had darshan. Now, because of Shraddha and Bhakti, because of our full surrender and full devotion to the Lord, because of that coolness of Shraddha and Bhakti, the form may appear to us, we may have the darshan, like due to coolness, iceberg is formed. But with the heat of knowledge, with the Jnanagni, then that form will disappear. And what is its own rupa, that is the water, whether it is steam, snowflakes, ice, whatever it may be, it is all water basically. Then it comes to the original state. So this is what has to be understood between the rupa and swarupa. A bhakta proceeds from the worship of the rupa, worship of the form, to the nama, chanting of the name, and then graduates to realizing the swarupa, the essential nature of that he has been worshipping for so long, and then realizes that then there is no difference between himself and the Lord he was worshipping in the essence. So this has to be understood very clearly. Let there be no confusion there. Now, the next question on the same shloka is, explain Veshahanata Swatma Darshanam. Shama.
You have to give up the conditioning to get the Atma Darshanam.
Does it mean that we have to commit
That I notion.
No, should we commit suicide then?
No. That I notion has to be given up.
I notion in what?
That is, we have to understand our own Swarupa.
So, I notion in what should be given up?
In the body, Swami.
Body, huh?
Yeah. So, Veshahanata is giving up the I notion, that is our identity with the
Upadi.
Upadi, the conditionings called the these three bodies.
Gross, subtle, and
Basically, gross and subtle body, and the causal body is the ignorance itself. When the ignorance disappears, the identity with the gross and subtle body will disappear. Sthula and Sukshma Sharira. So then that is what then what remains is only the self. But this is not committing suicide. Some may think that, okay, if we give up Vesha Hanata, so we have to destroy our gross
body.
subtle body. Then what will happen? So it is not the destruction of the gross and subtle body, the wrong identity. It is the dissolution of the ego. Ego is the culprit. Ego is what creates all the problem. And the funny part of the ego is it appears in its own absence, that we have seen so many times. Our real self is the pure consciousness and this gross and subtle body. In between, when the gross and subtle, inert gross and subtle body is in close proximity with the consciousness, then a third entity appears to be there as if it is there. So it appears in its own absence, which is called as the ego, which appears in its own absence. Like when certain conditions are met on a hot afternoon, on the desert sands, we can see at a distance mirage water. So mirage water appears in its own absence. It is not there is no water there in reality, but because of certain phenomena at a distance, in summer afternoon, in hot afternoon, if we see at a distance on the desert, we see this mirage water as if there is some water. There is no water there. It is appearing in its own absence. Similarly, this so-called ego appears in its own absence. It is not there in reality at all. But then it appears in its own absence and appearance is taken as real. Like as a dreamer, the dream world is taken as real by the dreamer. Only when he awakens from the dream state to a waking plane of consciousness, then he calls it as an illusion. It was not real. But for a dreamer, the dream world is real, as much real as for the waker, the waking world is real to him. So, this has to be understood very clearly.
Swamiji,
Yes.
one question.
Yes.
We have studied in the past
Hmm.
that this has happened due to mutual superimposition.
Hmm.
Knowledge is the only thing
Hmm.
which can separate
Hmm.
the mutual superimposition, like
Hmm.
a red round fireball,
Iron ball.
iron ball.
Hmm.
So the mutual superimposition of the iron, shape of the iron, and the
Hmm.
weight of the iron, and
Hmm.
the heat and the light of the fire, they have
Hmm.
combined together to make to appear
Hmm.
that as a fireball.
Hmm.
So what is required is to understand that
Yes.
the properties have both of each other. They have taken over the properties of each other.
Hmm.
Now, same thing has happened with us also.
Hmm.
The mutual superimposition
Hmm.
of pure consciousness
Hmm.
and the three bodies,
Hmm.
because they are in very, very close association.
Hmm.
The Jiva Bhava has come,
Hmm.
or in the words of the Ramana Maharshi, the third entity, which is known as ego, has
Hmm.
come.
Hmm.
But this ego, as you said just now, it's an appearance. It does not exist in its reality, or it doesn't have, its existence is not independent.
Hmm.
It's not, it cannot stand on its own legs.
Yes. Ego has no independent existence as such.
Huh.
When
So
ego is investigated into, it will disappear.
disappear. Yes, Swami.
Hmm.
So what
So,
is really required
hmm.
is a very, what do you call, inquiry, what Maharshi has prescribed,
Hmm.
to separate both these things.
Hmm.
Now, we cannot separate it by committing the suicide.
No, no, no.
We cannot do that. In our understanding, we have to bring this knowledge.
Hmm.
Isn't it, Swamiji?
Yes. Let the body, mind, intellect equipment be there.
Hmm.
Only thing is that the ego that is identifying with it, that has to be dissolved.
Hmm.
So that which is not there, and we have been suffering only because of this wrong identification, because of this ego, and that has arisen because of the ignorance of our own self. Had that ignorance not arisen, then the subtle and gross body wouldn't have been produced. So it is
Hmm.
produced out of ignorance only. Ignorance of the self has produced the subtle and gross body. And that has been troubling us for lives together now.
Hmm.
So this has to be understood. Another example that we have discussed last time also about consciousness, the pure self on one side and the equipment on the other side, and we unnecessarily getting identified with that and getting into trouble. It is like electricity identifying with the electrical gadgets. Of course, if it identifies with the electrical gadget, it will land in trouble. So if it identifies with the fan, it will start feeling giddy. When fan is moving at a top speed, oh, I'm feeling giddy. Or if the fan motor burns off, then it will say, oh, I got burnt off. So something like that. But actually, whether the fan burns off or remains, it doesn't matter to the electricity. Presence or absence of the fan doesn't affect the existence of electricity. When a bulb fuses, nothing happens to the electricity. But if electricity identifies with the bulb, then it says, oh, I got fused. So it is distinct. So what we are, presence or absence of the body, mind, intellect equipment should not affect our existence. That is what has to be understood very clearly. Because the existence of the body, mind, intellect equipment depends on us as pure consciousness, I as pure consciousness, and it is not the other way around. Electricity doesn't depend on electrical gadgets. Electrical gadgets depend on electricity. Electricity has got an independent existence. In the absence of electrical gadgets, it can continue its existence. But electrical gadget cannot continue to function without electricity. So this has to be very clear. There should be no two ways about it. So we are electricity and not the electrical gadget called the body, mind, intellect equipment. We are the
Yes.
electricity called the consciousness and not the electrical gadget called the body, mind, intellect equipment. Then,
Swamiji, excuse me, please excuse
yes,
me.
yes, continue.
Can a form of a guru
Hmm.
be the hindrance
Can the
after can a form of the guru
hmm, hmm.
be hindrance in realizing the self?
Be ignorance in the realizing the self? No, I have not understood your question.
Form of the guru
Huh.
is a hindrance for realizing the guru. If we take this shloka into account,
Yes.
because many years back I heard
Hmm.
that a student goes to Gurukul,
Hmm.
stays there for 9 years and learns everything,
Hmm.
all the Upanishad and whatnot, everything.
Hmm. Hmm.
But in the process, what he falls in love with the Guru.
Hmm.
And after his course is over of 9 years, syllabus is over,
Hmm.
he doesn't want to return to his back to his place.
Hmm.
The real Guru kicks him out of his ashram
Hmm.
or Gurukul, so that he makes that whatever that he studied has
Hmm.
can practice the same and ultimately realize the self.
Hmm.
And I think in one of the Upanishads, this illustration is also given. Is it not so?
Yes. Yes, of course, that is there because A guru's form is also form, inert, insentient. And that which enlivens that form and that which enlivens this form, both are one, though the forms are different, but the enlivening factor is the same. So, though after the disciple realizes the truth, he sees no difference between himself and the guru, but yet, because he got this knowledge, his guru imparted it, out of respect, he will maintain that duality. The sense of a sense of duality he'll maintain with his guru out of respect. But essentially, they are one. So that is what the bhaktas also, the devotees also experience the same thing. When they realize the truth, the devotee and the object of devotion become one. And that is the non-dual reality, the Advaita, the realization of the self. And then the bhakta will start talking in the language of Advaita. All life long, he was devoted to his Lord, and suddenly now he's talking about non-duality, Advaita. So when the devotee and the object of devotion has become one, then the realization of non-dual self happens. So this has to be very clear that there is no confusion here. So Veshahanata is destroying the ignorance of our real self, because of which we have fallen into this repeated cycle of birth and death. And all got mired into the fanciful projection of this Maya Shakti, called the external world of names and forms, multitudes of names and forms. Then the next question on the same shloka is, explain Isha Darshanam Swatma Rupata. Shamamma? Isha Darshanam Swatma Rupata. Shamamma is not there, it seems.
So what is, Swami, can you say the question again?
Question is, explain Isha Darshanam Swatma Rupata.
Isha Darshanam is spell.
Swatma Rupata. So,
Because it is non-dual.
non-dual. What is the Swarupa of Ishvara?
Swarupa of Ishvara. That's
Huh?
Atma Darshanam is the Swarupa of Ishvara, Swamiji.
No, here, what is the question? Isha Darshanam Swatma Rupata.
Can I explain,
So
Swamiji?
both are same.
Okay, Pankaj Bhai.
What it says is that when one realizes oneself,
Hmm.
it is as good as realizing the God.
Hmm.
If I am a devotee of a Krishna,
Hmm.
and if I realize
Hmm.
my Swarupa,
Hmm.
then Krishna's Swarupa is not different than me.
So, what?
So Atma Darshanam, that is
Hmm.
self-realization, is
Hmm.
equal to God realization or Krishna's darshan.
So,
The true
what
nature
is
of Krishna.
my Swarupa?
My Swarupa is pure consciousness,
Hmm.
self
So
or
some
pure consciousness, say.
Hmm. So, Ishwar Swarupa is also the same.
Pure consciousness. It is the same.
Hmm.
Like a wave realizing that it is water, and the same water is the Swarupa of ocean also.
Hmm. So, the Swarupa of Ishwar is Satchit,
Hmm.
that is existence and consciousness, and our Swarupa is also Satchit.
Hmm.
Atma Swarupa is also Satchit, and therefore Atma Darshan itself is Isha Darshanam. The darshan or knowing the self itself is Isha
becoming the
darshan.
self.
Yeah, knowing the self is knowing the Lord, Isha Darshanam, and that is the final realization. So focus is only on the self. This is important factor in Vedic tradition, in Advaita Vedanta. We do not go into the question of whether there is God or not, who created this world, when did he create it, why did he create it, what was he doing before creation of this world, why did he create Swarga, heaven and hell and all that thing. They are all in the realms of intellectual speculation as of now. And we have to investigate who we are in reality. Because, like a scientist works in the lab, and how does he work? From the known facts, he starts working with the known facts, known incontrovertible facts. He starts doing his experiments and starts working with that, doing his experiments and research work to come to a new conclusion or a new result, isn't it? So also, the only known incontrovertible fact which cannot be denied is our own existence. I exist. So this cannot be denied. Even all the doctors in the world certify that I don't exist, that piece of paper is useless. It has to be thrown into the dustbin because it is my direct subjective awareness that I exist. So this is the only incontrovertible fact we have at our disposal. So the investigation should begin from here. Who is this I who exists? And forget about all the other things about creation, God, heaven, hell, and all those things. As of now, it is all in the, because there are so many religions, there are so many scriptures, so many texts, and they talk about God in different ways, about the creation also in different ways, about the creation of heaven and hell and Swarga and Naraka and all that thing. But my existence is my direct subjective awareness, direct subjective experience. So I have to investigate something which cannot be denied. The non-deniability of our own existence is the absolute truth. So our inquiry, our investigation, our research should begin from there itself. Who is this I who exists? That is how scientific investigation begins. It begins with the known incontrovertible fact, and the scientist does the experiments on that to come to a new conclusion, a new result. So this is the thing the investigation has to begin with. Focus should be on this. Who is this I who exists? Even the so-called atheist, there cannot be technically any atheist in this world because the non-deniability of our own existence is the absolute truth as per Vedanta, Advaita Vedanta, and the devotees call it as God. So for an atheist, to be an atheist, he should be able to deny his own existence, which is impossible. So if he says, I don't exist, who is saying this? I don't exist. The sayer of this statement exists. So technically, there can't be any atheist in this world because they can't deny their own existence. That is the absolute truth. So then we proceed to the next verse, Shlok 26. Atma samsthiti swatma darshanam atma nirdvayat atma nishtata. So based on this shloka, the first question, explain the word darshana from the relative and Vedantic standpoint. Pankaj bhai.
Uh, Darshan means to see,
Hmm.
and the second meaning of the darshan is to know.
Hmm.
Now, as far as the phys- physically, if we take the meaning
Hmm.
to see the form,
Hmm.
we can see only the form. I can, uh, however, I may be close to anybody.
Hmm.
Beyond form, I cannot go.
Hmm.
So that's a normal darshan to see.
Hmm.
But here it is used in a philosophical term to understand, to know.
Hmm.
So So, Swamiji, what is the question?
Question is, explain the word darshana from the relative as well as Vedantic standpoint.
Okay, so relative point of what I mentioned just now, physically to see. But Vedantic point of view is to understand and to know. And not only paroksha gnana, but it should be aparoksha gnana. That is Vedantic meaning of the word darshan.
So here, from the relative standpoint, of course, vision is not possible without duality. So the duality of the seer seen has to be there. Then only the vision is possible. Somebody is a seer and somebody is seeing. So the duality of seer seen is there. Then only vision is possible. Then the darshan is possible. So the seer of objects is the self. And of course, the seen are many. The self is one and the seen are many. Seen is the object. So, and the seen object is not self, anatma. Seer is the self, atma, and seen object is not self, anatma. And seer is one, and the seen are of course many. So, the seer subject can never become the seen object. We have to understand this very clearly. The seer subject can never be the seen object. In Vedanta, Darshana has a lakshartha. From the Vedantic standpoint, the word darshan has got a lakshartha or an indicative meaning. So, here darshana is pure awareness, shuddha bodha, pure awareness, free from the dvaita duality of drashta drishya, seer seen duality, and is of course objectless, thought free, pure awareness. So, that is what darshan is in Vedantic, from the Vedantic standpoint. Darshana from the relative standpoint is seeing something where there is a duality of the seer and seen. Then the next question on the same shloka is, explain Swatma Darshanam with example. Shamamma.
Swatmadarshanam is seeing the self. Seeing the self or becoming the self. That is Swatmadarshanam.
Seeing the self or becoming the self.
Knowing the self, sorry, not seeing the self, knowing the self. Knowing the self and becoming the self.
Not becoming. Are we to become
Being
something?
the self.
Being the
Knowing the
self,
self,
yes.
being the self, yeah. Knowing the self and being the self.
Not becoming. We
Not
don't have to
becoming. Then
become it.
again
We
there
are
will be
already that.
duality. I understand something.
So it is being the self. Swatma Darshanam means knowing the self is being
And
the self.
being the self. Huh?
So, and then can you give any example?
Example, you cannot sit in the bucket and lift it too.
Lift yourself up. That is a good example. So we can't sit in a bucket and then try to lift it ourselves. That is not possible. So, and the common example is, of course, in the torchlight, you cannot see the cell on which the torch is working. So, this Svatma Darshanam means knowing the self, and knowing the self itself is being the self. So, self is not an object of knowledge, but is the very subject. It is the subjective awareness, pure awareness. Therefore, self can't be seen as an object. Like in the torchlight, you cannot see the cell on which the torch is functioning. Similarly, when we sit in a bucket and then try to lift it, it is not possible. Then, that is the Atmajnana or the knowledge of the self. Unlike all other knowledge, is not thought based. This is an important thing to understand. All other knowledge is thought based, but this knowledge of the self is not thought based. Of course, when we are studying the scriptures also, they are also thought-based only. So, like ignorance, when I say I don't know something, I don't know anything about computers. So I'm expressing my ignorance about computer. That is also, ignorance is also thought-based. Then when I say I know something, that is the knowledge. So that is also thought-based. So there is ignorance, ajnanta, then knowledge, jnana, then special knowledge, vishesha jnana. So it is called as vijnana. So ajnana, jnana, vijnana. And then there is something called as prajnana, prajna. Prajna is beyond is ignorance, ajnana, jnana and vijnana. All three are thought-based, and prajna is beyond all the three, and it is thought-free. So the self-knowledge is not thought-based, it is thought-free. So here it is all the thoughts are of course the product of avidya, that is ignorance. So it is not, and then it is not produced in the brain also. So brain is actually a receiving station, like a radio. So when you tune a radio to a particular station, then we get the what you call that particular station, BBC London, All India Radio, and so on. So the radio doesn't produce any program. You tune into that station and we get the program. Similarly, brain is a receiving instrument which receives continuously the thoughts. According to one research that was done long back, every moment 11 million bits of information is received by our brain. But fortunately, we are aware of only 40 of those 11 million bits of information. And of course, there is a time gap between appearance of that bit of information in our brain and we becoming aware of it. This is according to Dr. Benjamin Libet, a neurologist. According to him, there is a time gap between the appearance of the bit of information in our brain and we becoming aware of it. So actually, nothing belongs to us. And people think that this is my idea, my concept, and my thing, and then they want a copyright on that, and then they want to patent it, and then they want to earn royalty on that. This copyright, patenting, and royalty was never in India. It is a Western concept. In India, knowledge was freely given because even rishis to whom the revelation came of these Upanishads, they didn't claim the authorship of that, and therefore Vedas are called as apaurushaya. The revelation came to them. It is not that they sat somewhere under the tree and wrote it from their idea. No, no. The revelation came, and therefore they didn't claim the authorship to that. And therefore Vedas are called as apaurushaya. There is no author to that. Sometimes in Upanishads, the rishi to whom the revelation came, his name is mentioned. But then he has not claimed authorship to that. Because nothing. All knowledge have always existed. There is no new knowledge. Only when you tap into it, when you tune your mind to that, like when you tune the radios and to tap into a particular station, to tune into a particular radio station, then we get that station program. Similarly, when we tune our mind to whatever knowledge we want, and then we tap into that, and it is already existing knowledge. Long time I remember in school level, I think there was this in chemistry, there was one chemist. His name I suddenly don't remember now. So he wanted to know the structural formula of benzene. And while he was contemplating, thinking over it, he fell asleep or something. And then he saw two snakes intertwining themselves and giving a hexagonal form. And that gave him the idea of this structural form of benzene. So it didn't come from his thinking or something like that. It has come from somewhere. Even Albert Einstein has admitted that whatever worthwhile scientific discoveries or inventions that have happened, discoveries that are or scientific thoughts that have come, it has not come through the usual process of thinking. Albert Einstein himself has admitted it. So this has to be very clear that, and here we do not have, here in fact in our part of the world, in Asian subcontinent, in India, from ancient times, knowledge was freely given. Nobody claimed any copyright or patent or royalty there, I mean, then claiming royalty. This is all a Western concept. We didn't have that. We don't have it. Knowledge is freely given because all the great masters knew that it is not theirs. It has always existed. And just tapping into that, when the revelation comes, you can't claim the authorship to that. But unfortunately, things have changed now. Now I have discovered this, I have invented this, I want patent rights, I want to earn royalty, and all that thing has come up now. Commercialization, it's unfortunate. So it is not in our system, it is not in our culture, it is not in our sanskar. It is not in our religion also. It is not in our spirituality also. This claiming the authorship or patent and copyright and all that thing. Now, we move on to the next shloka. Shlok 27.
Swamiji, leave 2 minutes for me at the end.
Leave 2 minutes for you.
At the end.
At the end. Okay. So let us see now. Now this 27th shloka, here it is said, Jnana Varjita Ajnana Hina Chit. Jnanamasti Kim Jnatum Antaram. Jnatum Antaram. So now based on this shloka, the first question, explain buddhi or intellect and its limitations. Pankaj bhai.
Uh, would the intellect
Hmm.
can know only the external things.
Hmm.
Whatever that it receives through the five senses,
Hmm.
it can know, understand, discriminate, and all those things it can know.
Hmm.
But the strength, the sentiency, the
Hmm.
energy that intellect gets,
Hmm.
intellect cannot know.
Hmm.
Because the pure consciousness,
Hmm.
it illumines the intellect. It it energizes the intellect to
Hmm.
function in a way that
Hmm.
intellect is made.
Hmm.
So intellect can know anything which is external,
Hmm.
depending upon one's intellectual capacity.
Hmm.
But it cannot know the illuminator, which
Hmm.
energizes the intellect. This
Hmm.
is its limitation,
Hmm.
fundamental limitation.
Hmm. So, buddhi or the intellect, it is a product of avidya, ignorance. That we have to understand very clearly. It was produced when we had the ignorance of our own self. Out of that ignorance was born the subtle body, and then further the gross physical body, the subtle body. So intellect is part of the subtle body, Sukshma Sharira. So it is a product of ignorance. And therefore, now sometimes people say that when did we fell into that ignorance? So that cannot be known because before the intellect manifested, there was no time also. So intellect cannot know when exactly we fell into ignorance. In fact, time is not born with the intellect. Time is born only now. Science tells us that time is defined as an interval between two events. According to Vedanta, time is interval between two thoughts. So if somebody is in a thought-free state, there is no notion of time for that entity. Therefore, in Samadhi state, when the one who is in Samadhi has transcended the body, mind, intellect equipment, he has no notion of time. Even we go into deep sleep state, which is again where the subtle body is temporarily absorbed in source. Therefore, we have no notion of time in the deep sleep state. So when we wake up, suddenly if you wake up, oh, where am I? And now what's the time? Oh, I slept for so many hours. I didn't know. I thought I slept for just half an hour. So there is no notion of time manifests only when the intellect is active. First thought comes, still time can't be measured. Time can be measured only when the second thought manifests. So the interval between two thoughts is measured as time. And therefore, the smallest unit of time is called second, not first. So we have second, then we have microsecond, nanosecond, femtosecond. So it is not first. Because until the second event happens, time can't be measured. Until the second thoughts manifest, the time cannot be measured. And if there are no manifestation of thought, there is no notion of time also. So this buddhi has limitations. Therefore, if somebody says that when exactly I got ignorant of my own self, that cannot be answered. Because there was no time. And therefore, ignorance is called as anadi. It is beginningless. But it is not eternal. Because ignorance can be destroyed by knowledge. So with the knowledge of the self, that beginningless, the ignorance will get destroyed. And the self is, of course, beginningless and eternal. Ignorance has got somewhere it began, that is beginningless, but it is not eternal. Because there is no notion of time. Therefore, we have to say it is beginningless when it was. There is no notion of time. Unless it only happens when the intellect manifested. So this intellect being jada or inert, insentient, can't know. So it only gains the ability to know from the consciousness. When the consciousness is reflected in the intellect, which is called as Chidabhasa. So through this Chidabhasa, it gains sentiency, so to say, to know. So, so we know that we know, and we also know that we don't know. Both are knowledge. I have knowledge of my what I know, and I have knowledge of my ignorance of so many things also. So I know some things I don't know. I also know some things that I know. So this intellect has got its limit. It can very well know what we are not, but it can never know what we are in reality. So in ignorance, if we are considering ourselves to be the body, the sense organs, the pranas, the mind and its contents called the emotions, feelings, and sentiments, the intellect and its contents called the thoughts, that can be negated with the help of intellect. We can analyze, reflect, contemplate, analyze logically, rationally, intellectually, scientifically. We can analyze and we can come to our own conclusion that by no stretch of imagination I can ever be this body, sense organs, pranas, mind, and intellect. That can be done. But then who we are in reality, that intellect cannot do. That we have to go beyond the intellect. So, like the common example of the torch and the cell, and therefore, buddhi or the intellect can never know that which enlivens it. So, that has to be clear. Then the next question on the same shloka is now it is already 2 minutes I have to keep for you. It is already 7. So we'll
Well,
take up in
Swamiji,
the next session.
yeah, okay, Swamiji, thank you.
Okay.
Now, Swamiji,
Yes.
as I spoke sometime back,
Mm-hmm.
mutual superimposition.
Mm-hmm.
To break this mutual superimposition,
Mm-hmm.
I feel that as far as I'm concerned, Sakshi
Mm-hmm.
Bhav, and I'll come to Sakshi Bhav again and again, Swamiji.
Mm-hmm.
You must say. So Sakshi Bhav is a
Mm-hmm.
very effective means.
Yes.
But more I practice this Sakshi Bhav in it during the day,
Hmm.
I feel that everything going on. See, Sakshi Bhav to what?
Hmm.
The knowledge that we generate through our five senses, which comes to the mind ultimately.
Hmm.
And I'm a Sakshi to whatever that is going on in the mind, basically.
Hmm.
The more intensely it is practiced, Swamiji, I feel
Hmm.
that this world is nothing more than a drama which is going on. No, really, Swamiji, I'm very serious, Swamiji.
Yes, of course.
That,
As we
that this is
go,
a drama, there is a drama which is going on.
hmm, as we go deeper and deeper into that, then we can never take this world around us seriously.
Hmm,
When we start understanding the reality behind this
hmm,
and what is appearing, so that can't be taken seriously. And therefore, the spiritual path, as we progress on that, the more we progress, the more calm we become, no more peaceful we become. And those things which were agitating us earlier
hmm.
will no more affect us at all. Because having known the reality, we don't take those things seriously. So we are calm and peaceful and happy on our spiritual journey. And as we progress further and further, more and more joy comes. When we get a deeper insight, the subtler aspect, and a deeper insight, and then that gives a tremendous joy, the eureka moment.
Hmm. And Swamiji,
Hmm.
you know some of them, certain problems that I had and
Hmm.
having it.
Hmm.
Actually, they have become very insignificant, Swamiji.
Yes.
Very, very, though they are real even as of today, Swamiji.
Hmm.
But I don't know.
Hmm.
It is, they have become very insignificant.
Hmm. Not only that, those things which we valued earlier,
Hmm,
now we don't value it. You see, slowly the value that we had given for certain things,
hmm.
that start vanishing when we have no value then. The famous story of Nagarjuna, you know very well, that I have told also.
Who, Swamiji?
Nagarjuna.
No, no, no.
He was a great master. He was a he was a teacher in Nalanda University also, and he was into some what you call that, one particular subject. But he was a great realized master also, Nagarjuna. So once he had gone for bhiksha to a king, and that king in Dakshina gave him a gold golden begging bowl, and then he put in his jhola. But somebody saw that, and the person who saw that, he wanted to steal it from him. So Nagarjuna wandered and then came to some desolate place, and some desolate building was there. And then he thought he'll spend the night there. And Nagarjuna very well knew that that person is following him, and he knew very well. So as he was preparing to sleep, he called out, I know you are there. I know what you want. So come and take this. So he came forward, and Nagarjuna handed it over to him. And then when it was handed over, so he was very happy. He went away. After a month or so later, Nagarjuna was somewhere, and then one man came, very famished, with all his mustache and beard grown, and eyes also red, as if he has not slept for days together and not eaten also well. And then he did pranams to this Nagarjuna, and then kept that gold ball at his feet. So Nagarjuna told him that I had given this to someone else. So this man said that I am the same person. So what happened? This thing didn't give you any joy? No, since I got this gold ball to protect it, I couldn't sleep. I couldn't eat properly. And I wasted my 1 month protecting, trying to protect it. I was always afraid that somebody will steal it from me. But then, when that king gave you this bowl, I saw calmness on your face. And when you were giving it to me, also at that time, also I saw calmness on your face. So, what is it? I don't want this bowl, but you give me that calmness. How did you get that? You were not excited when you got it, and you were just normal, as if you are giving some piece of stone or something like that, or paper or something like that. What is it? I want that. I don't want this book. So this is what happens. Then we lose values for so many things,
Yes, Swami.
which we were valuing earlier. That value slowly we start losing for that.
Yeah.
Mm.
Thank you,
So
Swamiji.
shall we conclude now?
Yeah, yes, Swami.
Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namah. Harihi Om.